Hey there, welcome or welcome back to my channel, Diana and the Book Hunt. Today I want to show you which books I had included in a video of mine at the start of this year and how far I've come when it comes to covering the books that I discussed in that video. The video that I did is books that I didn't get to in 2021 that I want to pick up in 2022. I'm going to be quite honest, I'd hoped to pick up more than what I did. I kind of picked up 40% of the books that were on that list, and the other ones I still need to read, but I'm still going to show you how I did and how those books worked for me, the ones that I did pick up, and the ones that I didn't, I really hope to pick up next year, so I kind of don't lose them in my never-ending TBR. The books that I did get to pick up were ones that I really liked. Most of them, all of them, I think. I'm going to share them with you right away so we don't lose time. The first two books, because it's a duology that I wanted to pick up, is by Jordan Ifueko. The duet is called the Raybearer series, and the first book is called Raybearer, the second one the Redemptor. I really loved these two books. I think I gave them 4 to 4.5 stars, and they involve a kind of a Western African cultural aspect, but it's a young adult fantasy setting where we're following a girl named Tarisai. She is kind of trained throughout her childhood to go ahead and join a competition for becoming one of the council members of the Crown Prince. And there was a very specific process of becoming one of those 11 council members, because you need to love the Crown Prince in order to be part of those 11. There is a specific process of them figuring out whether that is the case, and once you kind of join those 11, you have an intricate bond with each other and with the Crown Prince, and they have also magical abilities that kind of help them protect the Crown Prince and have this very specific relationship with one another. Now, Tarisai is basically trained to become one of these people, but then she's also trained for a very special mission by a character I'm not going to mention so I don't spoil anything for you. But basically, she is tasked to kill the person she falls in love with, essentially the Crown Prince. So it's a very intriguing concept, and the magical systems within these two books are just so intricate and so interesting. But also the audiobooks were so amazing for these two books because they involve singing, they involve specific sounds that happen throughout kind of action sequences, and I really loved, appreciated that for the audiobooks because they really kept me entertained and engaged with the two stories. So those were really definitely hits for me. I definitely recommend these books, especially if you pick up the audiobooks, because they were amazing. Next up in that video, I mentioned that I want to pick up two books by Madeline Miller. The first one being The Song of Achilles and the second one being Circe. I did pick up The Song of Achilles, but I failed to pick up Circe. I definitely want to pick up Circe sometime soon because I did enjoy The Song of Achilles, and even though I know that people prefer The Song of Achilles to Circe, I still want to know what my experience will be, because The Song of Achilles was really hyped up and I did like it, but I didn't love it as much as I'd hoped because I really had high expectations because of all the hype. And maybe because Circe is not as hyped as The Song of Achilles, I may appreciate it more, you never know, so we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, basically I'm not going to spend so much time talking about The Song of Achilles because it's a well-known book for almost anyone in the book community, and it involves the mythological kind of retelling or reimagining of the relationship between Achilles and Patroclus and what happens with the battle in Troy. And yeah, I really liked it. I gave it 4 stars. Let's see how Circe will do. Next up, I picked up Malibu Rising by Tailor Jenkins Reid. I've mentioned quite a few times now that Tailor Jenkins Reid has become a favorite author of mine. I definitely want to go through all of her backlist, so it was very imperative for me to pick up a couple of books by this author this year, and I did. I started off with One True Loves that I read sometime in April or March. And then in the summer, I had promised myself that Malibu Rising I would read at the beach, and I did. And I really loved that I did that because it gave me an extra kind of specific setting or atmosphere when I was reading it, and I really loved it. I have to say that it wasn't a favorite book of mine by Tailor Jenkins Reid. There were specific things that, well, I was immersed in the story and I really appreciated how the story developed. When I compare it to the other books by this author that I really loved, it just didn't make that top 3 for me. When I think of the top 3 for me at the moment with Tailor Jenkins Reid's books, I have to say that Carrie Soto is back, and Daisy Jones and the Six will be at the top 1 and 2, and then The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo will be the 3rd book within my top 3. So Malibu Rising does not match up to those 3 books for me. The story involves the Riva family. We have Mick Riva, who makes an appearance in The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. He was one of her husbands. He is a famous singer and he has 4 kids, and we see kind of life happening through the eyes of his 4 kids and how their lives were impacted by his actions as a father. And yeah, I really liked it. I gave it 4 stars, but it wasn't the favorite. The next book that I managed to pick up within this list of books that I was kind of trying to work through is by Brittainy Cherry, and it's called The Mixtape. As with all other books that I've read by this author, I typically give them 4 or 5 stars, and this one was no exception. I gave it 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. The book follows Oliver, who is part of a twin duo. They are both very famous R&B singers, and unfortunately his twin brother tragically passes away in an accident. So he's in a lot of grief and he has difficulty with moving past the situation that has occurred in his life, but his record company is expecting him to move on and continue performing, as well as his fans. So he has a lot of pressure on him, and when we encounter the heroine in the book, Emery, she works in this bar. She's a single mom, and one night Oliver bumps into her bar having drunk too much, and he's kind of hiding from having run away from one of his gigs. So she kind of helps him hide and avoid a very unpleasant situation that will involve paparazzi and angry fans, etc. So they kind of have a very interesting start to their relationship. Because Emery is a hidden fan of his, but she's also very much understanding in what position he's in. So I definitely appreciate that both of them have this amazing respect towards each other already from the start. Even though they bicker a bit at the beginning, you definitely sense that both of them appreciate the point that they're in their lives. Herself being a single mom with financial troubles, while he doesn't have the same problems, but he is in a very deep hole in his life because of the passing of his brother. So yeah, it was an emotional read. It was an amazing story, and I definitely loved it. The last book that I managed to pick up off of this list is My Dark Vanessa by Kate Elizabeth Russell. This book I've mentioned quite a bit in the past couple of videos that I've made because I've just recently read it in November, and it was a very impactful read for me. I've mentioned a couple of times that it's quite a disturbing but a very extraordinary story that I think that is important for people to pick up, even though if you do decide to pick it up, you really need to look up trigger warnings and prepare yourself emotionally for a very kind of a dark and twisted story, because it involves the relationship between a teacher and a teenage student, and the teacher is grooming the teenage student, and we kind of see how their relationship develops, especially with him manipulating her into thinking that this relationship is kind of an adult relationship and a valid relationship, while he's very much preying on her. So it's a very difficult read, very gripping one. I have to say that I was very emotional throughout reading that, and really I was relating to her, even though you think to yourself, like, why are you not seeing the signs? And you're kind of wanting for her to open her eyes a bit bigger and brighter so she can see the situation through someone else's eyes. But you definitely relate to such a teenage girl who is feeling insecure and is having attention from someone whom she looks up to. So yeah, it's a difficult read, but a very beautiful one. Now I'm just going to mention a couple of the titles that were in that video, but I didn't manage to pick up. So I'm going to try to keep myself, or kind of motivate myself with this, to read them in the next couple of weeks in 2023. So the first one I already mentioned, it's Circe by Madeline Miller. The next two books are ones that I actually have on audio in Storytel, so I definitely plan on picking them up sometime soon. The first one is The House in the Cerulean Sea by T.J. Klune, and the second one is also by T.J. Klune. It's Under the Whispering Door. I've heard only good things about these two books, so I definitely want to pick them up. They sound very magical to me, and only when I look at the covers, they're just so pretty. I definitely want to get to these two books. And then we have a fantasy read, I think that it is, Black Sun by Rebecca Roanhorse. I don't know much about this book anymore. I know that I picked it up because someone recommended it. If I'm not mistaken, it was Haley from Haley in Bookland, maybe a year or two ago. But I definitely want to pick this one up because I have it on audio as well. And then we have Pachinko by Jin Lee. This book has been on my TBR for so long, but knowing that it's such a chunky book, it kind of has me intimidated. So I definitely want to pick it up very desperately, but I need to be in the mood for it. Then we have a book that I definitely want to read. It's just, again, another chunky book. It's a standalone fantasy book, so that definitely makes it worth it for me to pick it up, so I can read through it in one go without having to think about other books that I need to pick up. And I do have the physical copy of it. It's The Sword of Kaigen by M.L.Wang. So this one I definitely want to pick up next year. I really need to hold myself to this. And then the last one, for which I also have a physical copy, it's Ace of Spades by Faridah Àbíké-Íyímídé. This book I definitely want to pick up because, again, I've heard nothing but good things about it. It's a dark academia setting. I just need to get in the mood for a dark academia book. I think I kind of got jaded now by the Atlas Paradox. I'm kind of very disappointed by that book. So it's another dark academia setting book, and I'm kind of overwhelmed by it. So I think I need to kind of clear my head from that headspace to get into the Ace of Spades. But I have a full year next year. I definitely need to plan it out so I pick it up, and I really keep my fingers crossed that I'll be able to manage it. These were all the books that I included in a video at the start of this year, of books that I didn't manage to pick up in 2021 that I wanted to pick up this year. I didn't do extremely well, but at least I picked up a couple of the books that were on this list, and I definitely enjoyed almost all of them as much as I'd hoped. And I'm going to make up another video like this one for 2022 as well, where I'm going to be picking up books that I didn't finish this year that I want to pick up next year. So you'll have to see how that goes in January of 2023. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope to see you very soon in the next one. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and have a wonderful, marvelous day. Happy reading. Take care, and bye-bye.